Who's ready to win the day in sports? I know you are. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Justin Fensterman, and let's break everything down from a fantasy sports perspective. What is going on, everybody? My name is Justin Fensterman, and welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by FantasyGuru.com, where you can find my work. How awesome is this shirt? It's awesome. In fact, I wear Fantasy Guru gear every single week on this show, whether it's this hat. You know, I thought about maybe not going with the hat today, but having a bad hair day, so wearing the hat anyway. Whether it's this hat or this shirt, a lot of you actually really like this shirt. Why? Because it's retro as hell. Since 1995, it looks like it's from the 90s, and everybody loves a little nostalgia. So for those that are looking to maybe get in on some Fantasy Guru gear, especially those part of the Elite Mafia at FantasyGuru.com, boom, right there is our store. Has everything from shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeves, short sleeves, hats. I forgot if they have tank tops for all of you muscular people out there. Maybe one day I'll just cut the sleeves off the shirt. Before you know it, none of you want to see that, though. None of you want to see that, but you're here because you want to talk fantasy sports, and that's what we do at FantasyGuru.com. We cover a lot of sports. We cover DFS, betting, season long. You get it all, and right now it's still going on. I thought this was over. Thought it was just a week, but instead, holiday season coming early when it comes to FantasyGuru.com, because for the next number of days, Jeff Mans announced it on the Elite Sports Show, which, by the way, you can check out on SiriusXM Channel 87, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Jeff is also on Fantasy Sports Radio every single Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern. But buy one, get one. You buy DFS, you get wagering for free. You buy wagering, vice versa, right there. Buy one, get one free for a few more days, the rest of the week. So make sure, tell a friend, get in to win right now with this deal. You buy DFS, you get betting for free. You buy betting, you get DFS for free. That simple. Go to FantasyGuru.com. They're supporting FantasyGuru.com as well. For those that want to buy, whether it's a different package or even the all-in, you can go after it here and you can win with us. That's what we're all about. And make sure you're checking us out in Discord. You can catch me in Discord at Fensty, Fensty. Normally hanging around in the NBA channels, but also our Game Time channel, because I do host Elite Sports Game Time along with Russell Clay, 6 p.m. Eastern every single Sunday on Fantasy Sports Radio. We got a channel for that. We got a lot of different channels, specified channels to help answer all of your questions. At the moment, getting around to it, a lot of our analysts there, including guys that you hear on this stream and see on this stream. Ray Flowers hosts it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. He hops on with Jeff every single Wednesday for Elite Sports, and he's answering questions. Armando Marsal, yours truly, is answering questions. Rich Maletto, who's going to join me in a little bit to talk about some Week 4 streamers. Got a lot of injuries that we're going to talk about, decipher through. Trust me, I'm going through them too. And I'm going to talk about my waiver strategy and plan on how to deal with having multiple injuries on your team. And maybe you're 0-3. It sucks, but you're not hopeless. We're going to talk all about that today on Fantasy Sports Daily. So again, the buy one, get one free. Excellent. Another few days for you to sign up there. And when you're part of the Elite Mafia, you get to hang with us. You get to win with us. And that's why Discord is oh so important, including for all you basketball fans out there. Next Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Fensty's Campfire Chats for NBA. Going to be in our Discord channel. It's going to be the DFS NBA Discord channel. And going to talk about all things NBA. Kind of what I'm thinking for the season, some of the teams I'm liking, some of the players I'm crushing on that we're going to crush on for whether it's prop bets or DFS plays. Going to continue to talk about that. And I also have a podcast talking about it too. It's called Fensty's Basketball Diaries. It gets released exclusively at FantasyGuru.com on the Elite Plus Network. Every Thursday, new episode drops, new chapter drops, because it's a story. It's a never-ending story on how we can conquer the sport of basketball. Whether it's basketball or football, we've got you covered. We got all the sports covered at fantasyguru.com. I'm going to tell you what we got on tap in a second here. But what's going on, Paul? Good to see you. Good Wednesday to all of you. Middle of the week. You're almost there for those Monday through Friday workers out there. You're getting there. You've reached that point. It's really over the halfway point if you think about it. And for those that are on the East Coast and even in central time zones too, you're getting to that point in the day. You could do it. If you've had a tough week, by the way, we feel for you. We absolutely do. But that just means the comeback is always greater than the setback. And strong. We have a stronger week, even stronger week the following week. Ethan, great to see you as well. Always great seeing everybody locked into fantasy sports daily. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about on the agenda. Why do I keep this up? Well, for a couple reasons. Number one, you don't have to look at my face just right in your face and break your screens every single week. Number two, so you get a little bit of a break ski from that. But also for those that might just be popping in and out, you can see exactly what I'm talking about, so you're not missing some of the analysis and some of the focuses of these shows right here. So that's what we're talking about today. It's going to be a lot of totals, and every Wednesday on this show when I'm talking football, that's where it's time to start looking at the matchups. We're still waiting when it comes to the practice reports and all that. We got to be careful. A lot of veterans don't practice on Wednesdays, and also the Monday night games, by the way, they don't practice on Wednesdays, so don't get too crazy right there. So that's why a lot of analysts, and I believe that as well, when they don't want to necessarily answer starting lineup questions outside of maybe the Thursday game on a Wednesday, they want to see, because there's always new injuries that are popping up. And I'll say this too, when it comes to versus the end of the week here, seeing especially with the Chicago Bears last week, corner after corner going down, then waiting those extra 2 days really helped with the strategy on how to attack it. Just did not really work out from the Dak Prescott standpoint. I was also, and I did this again this week, I was messing with a DFS lineup. And as you see right there, some of the DFS values that I have going into the main slate for this week, I try to really relate it to the total. So really the game high totals that we have, this Indianapolis-Rams game, very excited about it. And I know that you're seeing out there a lot of people like, well, Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is on your waiver wire anymore. I'd be very shocked. Maybe in 10-team leagues. But you would have to have the majority of your league not be rostering a second quarterback at that point. 12-team leagues, I'd be very, very surprised. You never know, though. You never know. You could have someone that's just been hoarding a bunch of quarterbacks and they needed to drop someone, so they dropped Daniel Jones. So maybe he's out there, but I'd say for the most part, he's not. But that game, 49.5, Matthew Stafford certainly out there. Hasn't been great, but this matchup with definite high score appeal to it. And we've seen what this Indianapolis team can do. And one of the things I like about the Colts, moving quickly down the field, Matthew Stafford can also play that game too. So that's why I like this game. And I definitely want a piece of it, not only maybe even from a streamer, because I'll say this. I have two teams that have Joe Burrow on it. Two teams. And on one of those teams, I've lost Joe Burrow, Austin Eckler, James Conner, Najee Harris. I'm trying to figure out how to balance out the quarterback situation without making a trade. So I picked up a secondary quarterback, which at the time was Mac Jones. So count it or not, I know he played through the pain, but he, for all intents and purposes, got hurt too. But does that mean your season's over? No, it's not. The problem is when you lose multiple players, you automatically think, I got to make a trade. I got to make a trade. I got to make a trade. But you're at a very big, when you lose multiple players, depth disadvantage. And so what you do is you not only make sure you go to fantasyguru.com and read Tyler Beaker's waiver wire report. Not only do you listen to Jeff Bands every Tuesday on the Elite Sports Show, goes over his top throughout the show, sprinkles it in, top 10 waiver targets for the week, but you also look for opportunity. We're looking for guys that are going to be on the field, even if they don't help you this week. Now, in this particular team I'm about to tell you about, it's a 10-team league and 10-team keeper for those just 4 keepers, but the benches are heavy. The benches are deep. So there are fewer opportunities on the waiver wire. Counting them right now, there are 9 bench spots in this particular league. And so it's a lot harder for me personally in this league to be able to balance it out. But there are a few opportunities that we can look at, guys that we can stash. That's what you need to be doing if you're not going to make the trade. And it can work. This is a long season. Guys that maybe didn't think would be getting heavier workloads are now going to be getting them early on. We've lost multiple running backs. We've lost multiple quarterbacks. And I know some of you thinking, well, Najee Harris, Still, the Chargers like to run, right? Is it going to be all Hampton? They're going to rely on someone else? You're seeing more teams when it's not working, not every team, when it's not working with their main back, and I noticed this a little bit last year, they'll abandon it a little bit. That's why the situation right now in Washington is just so freaking annoying. It is. Because at the end of the day, when you have the Chris Rodriguez versus Big Bill, who's it going to be, right? Big Bill, shiny toy right there, but we can't forget about Chris Rodriguez. Oh, here's Jeremy McNichols running off one. That'll probably be used sparingly. So it's very hard to tell with some of these backfields and who to rely on. But we can't rush to drop these starters. We can't rush to undersell these guys. But for those that have lost multiple running backs like yours truly, we go through it too. We're players at the end of the day. We go through it too. You have to expect it's going to happen. Your team, someone on your team's going to get hurt. You go through an entire season where none of your players suffer a major injury. Hallelujah. Congratulations. You got fortunate right there. Doesn't happen often. Just doesn't. Where you don't lose someone for at least 4 to 6 weeks, if not the entire season. So, yeah, I picked up guys like Kareem Hunt. I picked up, and I know with Kansas City, that's another one that's annoying right there. But for those that have those heavier benches, this is what we need to do right now if we're not going to make the trade, even if they're not going to help us right now. Guys like Miles Sanders, even if it's for a few weeks, you're thinking, and Jeff talked about this a lot on Elite Sports, it's not even for those, and this is for those that are thinking about now and making trades and waivers. You got to start thinking about these bye weeks because these bye weeks are coming. So with bye weeks coming and your team getting hurt, you got to also think about that before making the trade. You do. And remember, when those, because I'm in a league right now where, okay, I'm losing running backs. But I'll say this right now. When it comes to your starting lineup, and let's say you even have multiple flexes, don't worry about having multiple starters there. You just got to make sure you check those 2 RB boxes and have some depth right there. If you see opportunities on the waiver wire for wide receivers you could fit into your flexes, absolutely. That's what I'm doing. Hal, I know that you meant. I appreciate it, man. Hal said, oh, Ray, Ray, have a great day. And I'm like, oh, man. See, this is why I'm wearing the hat now. Because, yes, every day, more and more, I'm looking like a less good-looking Ray Flowers right there. That's the problem. So I get you there. So I saw it. I'm like, man, see, Hal gets it. I gets it. That's why I wear the hat right now. Like, super bad. I should have wore the vest. Thanks so much, Hal. Appreciate you hanging out right there. By the way, I'm getting asked questions, and Ethan asking about Sampson. Is he droppable at this point? I mean, it depends what your pool of players is looking at here. Do I want to say that Sampson's droppable? Yes. But at the same time, for those that have Judkins or I guess any piece of that backfield, we're kind of waiting to see, because we can't forget we can enjoy Judkins now, but we can't forget that Michael still gets suspended. So that's my one thing right there. So now again, if you're in really need and you're desperate at this point, you're dealing with multiple injuries and you're riding with Sampson right there, Then if there's another back out there, yes. But just to drop him, just to pick up, let's say if you have a lot of depth or even that second tight end that you don't even need. And also, let's not forget, too, I mean, Jerome Ford being in that mix, too, it just makes it very, very confusing how it's all going to work out. So is it droppable? It depends right there. Would I pick up a guy like Woody Marks or Chris Rodriguez? Yes, I would. I would right now. Again, we don't know. We kind of have to live for today when it comes to how the Cleveland backfield is going to shake out. So Woody Marks, Ethan, from that group, and Chris Rodriguez especially look very appetizing right there, especially if you need someone for this week. Because, yeah, you could have had a team where you lost James Conner and stuff like that. Grow the beard. Thanks a lot, Hal. That's one thing I will never do. I don't grow. I tried it twice ever. One of the times 15 years ago when the Jets last made the playoffs. Another time was randomly 8 years ago. I don't grow a good beard. There's some people that grow good beards. I do not grow a good beard at all. All right, Alex is asking a question right here. Let's go. All right, what do I do? What do you think? What flex do I use? All right, so at this point here, boom, Williams, Barkley, Cook. It's got all this. Henderson, Pearsall, Fannin. If you're asking me which one, okay, bench right there. Pearsall immediately comes to mind right there from what I'm looking at, although, now Benson being the last guy. I mean, for me, you're going to go Benson, Pearsall being the number 2 spot right there, because at that point, I'm going to chase the volume there with no James Conner. Just really stinks. That was such a gruesome injury for James Conner right there. So ultimately, with a guy like Sampson, I do think he's a little bit more expendable, like I was saying before to Ethan. Let's talk about some of the other situations we've got right now when it comes to high totals for the week. New Orleans and Buffalo. Here's the thing with the Saints, and I'm thinking about this from a perspective of, how much they're going to be throwing. We're seeing it right now. We're seeing it. We're seeing it with Juwan Johnson. We're also seeing it with Chris Olave. Chris Olave getting targeted a lot. By the way, you talk about DFS right here for him going up against Buffalo. That's going to be very interesting too, because he's just getting targeted so much. I mean, 23. When it comes to the target, 36 at this point for him. Catching a bunch of passes. Not a lot of other options to turn to there. New Orleans going to be playing from behind the 8 ball a lot. And against Buffalo in this game at 5,100 on DraftKings, that's someone that I'm going to be looking at. That's a little bit of a piece of that matchup that I'm going to want. So that's why for me, when it comes to what I'm looking at for DFS this week, I'm looking at some of the low-end value options right here. Some of the other value options, by the way, I'm looking at, and I go back and talking about the main slate. I go back to the Chicago-Vegas situation after seeing what Chicago and Dallas did, looking what Chicago could do. How many options of throw did we saw? Luther Burden getting the end zone, but at the same time, looking at this Chicago-Vegas game, I go back to wanting to stack Caleb Williams with someone. A lot of people are going to want to do it with Rome Odunze. Let's not forget that it took a while, but just when you're thinking that all's lost with DJ Moore, he ends up getting into that end zone too. He's at 5,600 versus Odunze on DraftKings, who has at 63. So that's probably where I'm going to look when it comes to a stack for the week. I'm going to look right at that Chicago-Vegas game. Going to attack the high total. That's what I'm going to do. I normally, when I'm playing DFS, interlock my quarterback with the receiver. I mean, looking at some of the other high totals, Jacksonville, San Francisco, 47.5. They're just spreading the ball all over the place in Jacksonville. That's one where we're going to have to wait and see. And even seeing someone like Washington get targeted a bunch, it's just kind of like an eye roll at this point. Won't be the easiest matchup. So with Jacksonville, I'm kind of staying away for now. And I know that a lot of people are going to want the sure thing and stay away. So that's why for me, when it comes to the Jaguars at this point, and I don't have a lot, the running backs, fine with. Strange right there for those. a big-time popular waiver ad of the last few weeks here. So Brenton Strange, somebody who had 6 receptions last week, is getting targeted. I look for, when I'm looking at low-end guys, 5 targets is kind of like the minimum. Love that 6 to 8 range, but 5, certain situations I can accept right there. And thinking that San Francisco is going to be able to be ahead of them, although you never know who's in and who's out anymore for the 49ers. That's been a problem right there. Man, every week it's someone else from this team. But even with Jacksonville right here, I'm probably overall just staying away, just targeting too many options there. We're going to have to see the fallout from that. Slim Shady, they call him Slim Shady. That when it comes to, according to the rankings, it's Benson. Wow. Okay. I mean, when it comes to this, I am going to agree. I mean, this is a great situation to be in. Kyron, Brees, Dobbins, and now Benson. And the RBs will occupy the 2 flexes right there. Who am I benching? I'm going to go with Benson right there as well, Slim Shady. I agree with Jeff. We're in lockstep right there. This is a very good situation to be in, Slim Shady. But hey, that's why we do it. And by the way, this is also why, and Jeff's talked about this for a long time, handcuffing is important. And I know when it comes to analysts, it's very split on, is a handcuffed running back, the backup running back essentially, is that a wasted roster spot? But here's the thing, not really. When it comes to this situation, James Conner, starting to get up there, has years on him, and Trey Benson, and the league that I had James Conner in, someone drafted Benson, and I don't even want to say overdraft because, I should have been on that. I should have been immediately should have started thinking about Benson, even thinking going into the season Benson would be a little bit more involved. But somebody else got to him, immediately tried to trade for him, not into it, and now he's gonna get the benefits from it because I lost Connor and now he has Benson. DeMercado becomes a stash now, but that's really that. So handcuffing really is important. Sometimes you don't know who it is. You really don't. So, but when there's a direct correlation and it's easy to tell, that's where you got to make sure you handcuff the situation a bit, because then you don't necessarily have to go and be the big spender when it comes to waivers. And for those that are 0-3, I'll say this, you don't have that luxury anymore. If there's someone out there like Ollie Gordon could still be out there, Woody Marks could still be out there, because I'll tell you this, I don't know what the hell to think of Houston's offense. And I'm going to talk with Rich Maletto from fantasyguru.com about that in a second. But looking at who's being on the field and the opportunities, Woody Marks on the field more and more each week, not going away. It's going to become more of a thing. And that was the worry about Nick Chubb. Can he handle big workload every single week? Well, here's the thing with Houston, needing to air it out a lot and everything. Nick Chubb has had 12-plus carries first 2 weeks, but then going down a little bit after that to 9. To me, that's where I think Houston wants him, in that 9 to 12 area ultimately. And obviously, they were hit with the Mixon injury, so they had to scramble. So Woody Marks, I think, starts to become more of a thing. Do I think that all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, this guy, the big-time future? No, I don't. But especially if I lost a few running backs at this point, few players, I'm looking for someone that maybe has a chance to produce me double figures when it comes to the bye week. And that's what I'm thinking about when I lose players and I don't have them cuffed. How am I going to survive? I start stashing running backs. Not exclusively running backs, but look, you lose 2 wide receivers. Don't worry about checking boxes. The extra tight end, no. Utilize that spot to get the extra back, to get the extra wide receiver that's out there right now. Trey Tucker, big time ad. And I keep talking about that matchup this week that I think is very juicy with Chicago. It's juicy for the Vegas side too, because I'll say this, and I talked with Tyler Beaker on Elite Sports Game Time last Sunday about it on Sirius XM. And when you're dealing with this Joe Burrow situation, McCarthy situation, you're living for the week. You're maybe looking to hopefully get someone you can ride out for a couple of weeks. It doesn't always have to be someone you pick up for quarterback. They must be good for the rest of the season. No. If you're that concerned, then make a trade. In those situations, I don't mind on both of those teams that I have Joe Burrow. I've got 2 quarterbacks rostered on both of those teams, kind of trying it out, seeing what works. One of them I have Goff and Stafford. Another one I had Browning and Mac Jones. And then I last second tinkered and I made the switch to Browning. And Browning didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. So now I picked up Geno. And now I've got a few other quarterbacks. I'm rotating quarterbacks. I don't mind spending the extra roster spot in that situation on a quarterback if you're trying to figure out what works. Because here's the problem too. When it comes to waivers, remember, if there's a certain position that's really getting hit, like quarterback was hit. So that stinks for the Burrow owners out there. Because now the Daniels owners, the McCarthys, etc., now they're all focused on getting a quarterback, possibly riding on another. So that's where the market gets cornered, and you have to spend when you're 0-3. Don't worry about 8-9 weeks from now. Worry about now. I've got 2 0-3 teams, and yeah, it sucked. It sucked. One of them had Joe Burrow, and at this point, Ashton Genty, who so far, but you know what? Things are going to get better for Ashton Genty. Things are going to get better. You have to understand, these rookies, some of them need some time. But the volume is still there. I'm not worried moving forward with him. You can come back and still win a title when you're 0-3 without having to trade half your team if you've lost multiple players. You could, but you're going to blow some more of your depth. So you got to be aggressive on waivers at this point. Ollie Gordon out there, go get Ollie Gordon. Woody Marks out there, go get Woody Marks. You have room to stash a D Mercado. I mean, I don't see Trey Benson being out there. I'd be shocked if he was. But okay, 10-team leagues, a 10-team casual, Trey Benson's out there. That right there, your workhorse. You don't get a lot of workhorses that are just out there on waivers at this point. Now, when it comes to the tight end position, for those that are streaming tight end, maybe you lost George Kittle earlier, so you've been kind of streaming back and forth and everything like that. Let me just say this. I'm looking for volume there as well. And when you look at leading the league in targets at this point, at tight end, Jake Ferguson, Juwan Johnson. I mean, that's incredible right there. Guys that one of them you weren't even really drafting. The other one drafting way late in your drafts right now. So maybe in your 10-teamers, they're still out there, but probably not anymore. Hunter Henry had a big game, but he's probably not out there. When it comes to tight end roulette, that's where you're going to have to see, because often if people roster 2, they'll drop one of them. Interested to see in how many of your leagues even a Dalton Kincaid is out there. Dalton Kincaid had a nice game. Like to see more than 6 targets, but hey, we can't all be so greedy at this point. So as you see, some streaming options right there. Going to talk with Rich Maletto about them, some DFS values, just getting the juices flowing for our week 4 of our fantasy football season. So let's welcome in right now from fantasyguru.com. He's back. He is Rich Maletto at Fantasy Bosco, although do not follow him over there at Fantasy Bosco. Rich, great to see you again, man. How's everything going?
It's busy. It's football season. It's race season. It's baseball season. It's on the cusp of basketball season.
Dude, there's a lot going on right there. You a big hockey guy?
No, I mean, I live up here in hockey country.
Gotcha.
I moved up here, when I moved up here, I went from playing pickup football and basketball every day to pick up hockey with neighborhood kids, and I was terrible.
I used to play like street hockey too.
Yep.
Back in the day. You know how the fight would always start like with you and your friends? If you like me, like one time I whiffed on the puck right near the goal and I smacked my friend who was watching the goal right in the arm. That seemed to be the common thing that would start the fight right there in the neighborhood.
You know, I had way more fights playing basketball and football. Granted, I only played hockey in the street for a few years, and since I wasn't very good, there wasn't a lot of slap shots and many opportunities on goal. It was me trying to figure out how to skate around on rollerblades.
You know what? I was the one that was kind of just like holding on to the side the whole time too, man. You know, more of a mathlete, not an athlete. I could just say that right there. But with you, man, I mean, your pieces that are up right now include streamers and also, keeping and players to cut and whatnot. And I got to ask you, man, why doesn't it seem like you're as interested long-term in Devon Achane?
That's a great question. Dynasty long-term, I'm still in. Overall, here's my concerns. One, the shelf life on running backs is pretty short. And, Achane is not the biggest guy, and he's been seeing a lot of volume since he got drafted. And, it wasn't that long ago that we used to all waiting for Zeke to have that one more good year. And it seemed about after year 4, it just never came. Or maybe it was year 5. So, and then I look at the Dolphins this year. I'll be honest, I'm not sold that they aren't the worst team in the NFL right now. And they don't look like they're improving. I know they kind of hung with Buffalo and showed some signs of life, but overall, they look like a mess to me. And I'm at sizes. So the fact that Achane's a bit small, he gets ridiculous volume. I don't see him getting any help from the rest of the offense. I'm not really in on Hill. I don't know a lot of people that are. Everybody's already kind of calling for Tua's head. I just don't see a lot of excitement to be involved with the Dolphins whatsoever, and the name Achane is going to fetch you high dollars in a trade. So from that aspect, I don't mind moving on from Achane. I have no problem holding him, but I won't be shocked if by week 8, any Achane owner are starting to get concerned due to either injuries or lack of production, because that offensive line in Miami is terrible.
Do you think because of that, quick passes out of the backfield to Achane are going to be kind of his gold standard here? Because we've talked about this before. We don't want to necessarily rely on our running backs just for what they could do in the passing attack, especially those standard players out there. So we got to be respectful to the traditionalists out there, the standard league players. But at the same time, if he's getting himself, 6-7 catches a game and he's utilized in the red zone and he could get to the end zone via catching the ball, along with getting, let's say it goes down to 10 carries per game, I just feel that his utilization, different parts of the field, do give him a little bit more of a safety net than some of the other running backs.
That's fair, but I go back to the size thing. I struggle having a lot of faith and trust in a guy that small getting that much volume. And if we're going to count on it coming in the passing game, I'm concerned about Tua. And I don't know that you're going to have a check down Charlie type in Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers. I just see red flags all over the Dolphins, and I'm the type I want to cash in before the cliff.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, that's a big part of trading as well, selling at an optimal value. Because, Rich, I mean, we were just breaking down how this guy has been producing, and a lot of that production comes from pass catching, not really what he's doing on the ground. Ran efficiently on the ground with the carries he was given. So, but you know what? Selling him at the optimal time, thinking that this Miami offense is just going to go completely stagnant, then yeah, that right there is a way
Let me throw this out there. Would you be shocked if Mike McDaniels was fired by week 8?
I would be a little surprised. I think they ride it out with him for the season. I do.
Do you?
I do.
Because it would not shock me if that were to happen. And if that happens, what does this offense look like at that point?
Right. It's almost like, you've seen the press he sounds so hopeless in those press conferences.
That's what I'm saying.
But he's Mike McDaniel. He F's with you. He F's with people. Could he be playing coy and just, reading into we got to score points? We got to pass the ball. Like that's the thing. I wonder if for the season, if he's safe, and then, day one, that Monday, he's fired.
I don't know that he makes it to the season because we've seen GMs and owners realize they need to act early enough so they can have first dibs on the new coach.
Right.
So any coach on the hot seat, in my opinion, I think somewhere between weeks 8 and 10 are something we need to watch. And I've got McDaniels in that section. And I'll say this, actions speak louder than words. I agree. Mike McDaniels likes to F with us, but that what's the word I'm looking for? His negativity or downness we're hearing from his voice, we're seeing with the play on the field. It is a lackluster performance by the Dolphins. I mean, even when they were hanging with the Bills, it still seemed very lackluster. Tua seemed very kind of nonchalant. Like I said, the line's been a problem, which in my opinion, that leads to potentially Tua getting hurt. That leads to no running game. I mean, I was having a conversation with a buddy this week. I'm kind of at the point, I'm targeting good offensive lines for fantasy. And that may seem ridiculous and that may seem over the top, but look at the Vikings last week. Oh, Wentz looked great. Okay, Wentz had protection that J.J. McCarthy did not have the week before. And Romo pointed it out on the broadcast. 2 anchors on that offensive line were missing back when McCarthy was under center for that game where he got hurt. And I did see McCarthy get hurt. I saw him go down and even yelled at the TV. Great, I think he hurt his ankle. And then we saw the ankle get retaped. Wentz had all sorts of protection. It's amazing to me. Darnold looked so much better with the Vikings where he had protection. So for me, it's schemes, it's systems, it's protection. Daniel Jones, all of a sudden, I didn't lose faith. I've been talking about him for the whole season so far, but people are coming around. Guess what? He's got protection. So I am at the point of it's almost plug and play at running back, at receiver, at quarterback, if you can protect these guys. And I do not understand teams, Texans, why you aren't building your foundation at the offensive line first. I think the Texans are a great example of why that you should do that. When they had a good offensive line, which they traded away, there was success with Stroud in this team. Now we see an offense that I don't know if anyone expects them to put up more than 10 to 14 points a week. And the Dolphins are in the same boat.
I was about to ask you about Houston too, because obviously one of the pickups, and Jeff Mans was talking about this on the Elite Sports Show yesterday. Woody Marks is someone who's we're seeing the field a little bit more. And the big question is, you talk about injuries with Achane. What about Nick Chubb? How much longer will this guy even, and at 12 carries compared to some who have 15 to 18 on a per week basis, I get is far less, but this guy has some mileage and years on him. So how much would he be able to still hold up, even getting 10 to 12 carries? So a guy like Woody Marks being on the field more makes sense right there. And I'll say this to you too, Rich. You were just talking about the Colts and the Texans. I've seen a few questions here in our chat talk about Josh Downs. What the heck to do about Josh Downs with the Colts playing well? This guy having one of 3 good weeks. So I'm seeing a lot of and I'm even seeing it in Discord and all over social media, dropping Josh Downs for Christian Kirk, who we just saw get targeted 8 times. What do you think?
I think that's a smarter move. I have never been big on Downs. Downs is a boom-bust type player. Jameson Williams, in my opinion, is a boom-bust player. These guys are going to have huge weeks at times, and they're going to disappear at times. It's clear to me that Kirk must have a significant role because nobody else got 8 targets in his absence. Nobody.
I'm waiting on our guy Higgins to get freaking targets. This guy gets 1 target a game. It sucks.
I would say Higgins has had a couple. So while Kirk was out, nobody else was getting these looks. So whether it's the scheme, whether it's Stroud looking for the slot, whatever it is, a guy comes back from injury and gets peppered with 8 targets right off the bat. I think he needs to be rostered and owned. I was off. I was kind of fading Kirk, and shame on me. Pierce and Downs are going to overlap. One's going to pop one week, one's going to pop the next week, okay? And then you got a Mitchell in there. They're all 3 kind of the same. The only guy that's different is Pittman. And then a guy that's also different that you were seeing a lot of use out of even early on for rookie is tight end Tyler Warren. Then you mix in Jonathan Taylor, who they're giving some work all over the place. And because of so much work of him, we're seeing DJ Giddens get a little bit of work as well. So I'm not really on the extra receivers there in Indianapolis. Jones, under center, Pittman, Warren, and the running backs. I mean, you can't use Giddens right now, but he needs to be rostered, especially for Taylor owners. But that's where I would focus on. And if you need a bye week fill-in, yeah, any of those Colts guys could pop for you, but it's going to be hit and miss. This is nothing new. We see this at the receiver position all the time. If you can find guys like Mooney or Kirk, who are secondary receivers that are getting consistent targets, hold on to them like gold. I would argue that A.O. Manor in Tennessee is more likely that. We're seeing almost an even split between him and Ridley, which this will benefit Ridley long term. And we need Ward to play better. Ridley's not the problem. Ridley is getting targets. He's playing. I mean, out of all the targets he got, less than half of them were catchable.
Right.
You know, so people that are panicking on Ridley, I wouldn't. I'd buy low on him. I'd buy low on Neighbors. You know, I'm adding A.O. Manor from the waiver wire, but I'm not interested in Downs. I'm not interested in Pierce. But I think Michael Pittman is probably closer to wide receiver 2 than not.
Are you interested in Quentin Johnston?
Ha! This is a tricky
I read
one, right?
I read your freaking content, dude. I read your content. You know, this is a first timer seeing the Fantasy Bosco Rich Maletto's content. I read it. I see you trying to find ways out when it comes to Quentin Johnston, but every time you're out, he pulls you back in.
I was gonna say, I have been the most out. Russ calls me the what did he call me on the coaching stream the one day? But basically said you've been out on Johnston from the beginning. I go back to a discussion we had on there where I said his highlight reel was more like a defensive low light reel. Yes, he flashes, he's explosive, but it was sloppy route running. It was body catches. Dude doesn't catch with his hands. So where are we at now? He flashed the first year. He flashed again last year through the first couple of games, and I was still out, claiming all they're doing is giving him slants and routes where he can body catch, and as long as he can do that, it's fine. But I need to see him catch the ball with his hands. I need to see him be a receiver. It's funny because his numbers, as well as he's playing, as much volume as he's getting, his ownership has not climbed very much. Not like we've seen other players in a similar situation. So I'm not the only one. I may have been the original one to be jaded from the word go and be out, but there are a lot of people that are real hesitant to get back in. I'm kind of in. I will take the L. I'll eat the crow. I don't have a problem with that. I will change my stance when I see things that make me want to change my stance. Over the last 2 years, his route running's been better. You haven't heard any complaints on that. He's getting open. The problem is he can't catch the ball and would drop. This past week, he made 2 excellent grabs where he adjusted his body and caught with his hands. That mattered to me. I know it sounds elementary and silly and stupid. I don't care. I am elementary, silly, and stupid. The guy caught with his hands. He's getting open, and he's getting continued volume. His quarterback is playing incredibly well. There is more faith with Keenan Allen. I'm out on Ladd. All the concerns Jeff brought up early preseason with Ladd are coming to fruition. And while I didn't think it would be Quentin Johnston doing this, I thought it might be Trey Harris, the guy that was known for contested catches, but it's not. Harris is an afterthought right now, and Johnston is proving that's the smart move. He has the skill set. My beef was always, I wanted to buy this man 5 jugs machines to have around his house at all times, and him to wake up in the morning catching footballs. I don't know if he is, but I'm impressed with how he's catching the ball right now. I've got to give him props.
Yeah, no, me too. And I mean, look, there are a lot of options to throw to when it comes to the Chargers. I took a flyer on Trey Harris.
Yep.
I did. But I think, and I'll admit this, Johnston became an afterthought because for me, Rich, out of sight, out of mind, I kind of forgot he was in concussion protocol. And so as we're kind of getting deeper into the month, you know, I'm trying to I'm thinking, okay, who's going to be the one to pop when it comes to the Chargers? They're going to want to run the hell out of the ball, but who's going to be the one to pop here as well from the receiving end? And I barely even thought of Johnston there.
I had been out on him, and it was funny to me because people were gravitating to him through the first 3 weeks last year, yet he was only 6% owned by the start of this year. So a lot of people got jaded over last year from it, and I understood why. I was with you. I thought Trey Harris goes in for Mike Williams. Mike Williams was the guy we were kind of eyeballing outside of Ladd. I thought that seemed like a good mix. We're seeing completely different. And hat tip to Greg Roman. I mean, this is not an offense we're used to seeing from him, and it's working. It's working well. I think whether that's Jim Harbaugh's influence, I don't know, or John Harbaugh's. It's Jim.
It's Jim. Yes,
it's Jim. I don't know why I always get
dude. John's been part of the Ravens for like
forever. Well,
forever at this point.
I always remember Jim, the quarterback. So that's how I try to keep them straight, because I remember Jim Harbaugh, the Indianapolis quarterback. So I'm impressed. I'm in on the Chargers. I'm in on Hampton. And I don't know what happened. Hampton looked better after Najee went down. I don't know if he's looking over his shoulder. I don't know if he was pressing, trying to do everything right. But the moment Najee was out of the picture, it's like we saw a whole different player in Hampton. Giddy up for Hampton.
Let's talk a little Jaxson Dart. Giddy up for him, because let's not forget that in college he completed over 65% of his passes, but this guy can run too. And that's going to be big for the Giants right here. And you're going to be seeing this guy take off a bit. How do you feel about Dart going into week 4 and just in general as a quarterback coming out of college?
He was my favorite quarterback in this class. It's really the only one I really wanted to take a shot on. I got him in a couple of places. I'm upset that I wrote in the buy sell that dropped minutes before they made the announcement that I had him. Hey, I think he could start as early as next week if we don't see a mid-game change this week. And then we find out we already got the change. He is more athletic than Russ. I think that matters. I don't know that he's got the rushing ceiling of a Drake May. Maybe more like a rushing ceiling of Justin Herbert. What I like most about Dart is not the athleticism. It's his gunslinger mentality. This dude will put the ball out there. This dude will let his receivers make plays. Giddy up, Malik Neighbors. I won't be shocked if Theo Johnson becomes a little bit of a thing here. I'm not sold it'll be Robinson or Slayton, but one of these guys is going to benefit. You know, Robinson feels more like a byproduct of the offense, and Dart's more willing to push the ball down the field than we've seen from other quarterbacks. Russ kind of too. So Robinson may end up being more of a mainstay, but it wouldn't shock me if Slayton is the guy that Dart likes throwing to. He's a little bit taller, a little bit longer. He's the guy that go up and get the ball. I can see Dart and Slayton kind of meshing, but man, giddy up Malik Neighbors at this point. And I think actually them having to lean on Montgomery and Skattebo versus trying to force Tracy into the fold here is going to be beneficial. I think there's something to be said about running backs getting a little bit of a rhythm with their offensive line. And I think Skattebo is good enough out of the backfield and runs with enough power that he can be that kind of 3-down back or roll. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. And this Giants offensive line is a little bit improved. It's not as bad as some of the other O-lines out there. And this defense should keep them competitive. I said it was smoke and mirrors with Russ a couple of weeks ago. So I'm all in on Dart, man. I mean, I'm grabbing him in one quarterback leagues.
I'm watching because a lot of people were dropping Wan'Dale Robinson. And I'm watching. I'm waiting to see. And then look, it's gonna we're all gonna have to see how it ends up shaking out. But it's funny, Robinson can be, and I feel like short term he's been that guy before, but now long term he's gonna be that guy, that yo-yo on and off the wire again throughout the year.
Well, if you know what killed him last year was the yards. I mean, the dude had 140 some odd targets,
right,
but only had like 598 yards, right? Like most 53% of his points literally came from receptions and nothing else. Like that's significant. So he's obviously a part of the scheme and offense. Now, if Dart can push the ball a little further downfield, Robinson can be a nice complementary guy. He's a little small for my liking, but we're seeing a lot of this. The Devonta Smiths, the Waddles. I mean, this is the new Jameson Williams. This is the NFL today.
Let's talk about the Bengals. Moving forward, we don't have to talk too much about them here. Just how worried are you? Because I got to ask you this, man. When we saw Browning come in, he threw some picks, but he threw some touchdown strikes too. So kind of gave you a little bit of hope there. And then last week's game came, and now I'm sure you have a lot of hopeless Bengals investors in there. Long term, what are we looking at with this offense?
My opinion, I think the team threw in the towel.
Wow.
They played passionate after Burrow went down and finished out that game. But at that point, we didn't know Burrow was going to be out for 3 months. This
Right.
defense has problems. You needed somebody with the moxie and guts of Burrow. No offense to Jake Browning, he's not that. This offensive line is not good. They should be better than what they're playing right now. Teams are going to be able to sell out on stopping Chase Brown, which we saw last week. 10 carries, 3 yards. Like that is really bad. I mean, averaging 0.3 yards a carry, that's terrible. Tajay Brooks came in, power guy, ran a little bit better. But I think those in the locker room, and this is a lot of projecting here, so take it for what it's worth, know that the coach is probably going to be on the hot seat. Know that their fearless leader isn't coming back this year. They know their fearless leader suffered a very significant injury that is more significant than most people are thinking about. And from a quarterback perspective, having to plant, I'm worried about Burrow long term. I hope I'm wrong. The way they played this week, they had nothing, man. There was, I don't want to say dudes lost the locker room, but I think the Bengals as a whole have thrown in the towel. So
one of them was Chase's fault, one of the turnovers. Chase caught it and then freaking fumbled and stuff like that.
Right. But I mean, there was also who was it that caught the ball and got jacked on the sidelines and dropped it, and it got returned for the touchdown. There was, I don't think anybody played particularly well, man.
No.
The defense didn't do anything. I mean, come on. Carson, I had a 3-leg parlay. All I needed was 204 yards from Wentz. He had 173 at the end of the third quarter. And got yanked, right? I mean, what did that tell you about? I understand the Vikings got their line back, but it was a backup running back. They didn't have Jones. They still don't have Addison. They had Wentz, who nobody has wanted. And I get he played decent, played well. And the Vikings absolutely throttled them.
They didn't even need to throw it. Jordan Mason could do it all by himself.
Like I said, I feel like there is, much like with the Dolphins, I'm seeing body language on the field that says I'm going through the motions.
Wow.
I don't want in on that, man.
Are you, by the way, sticking with the division? And I just almost want to bring this up because we can't forget about it. Are you still concerned about a possible Judkins suspension? I feel like we're starting to forget about it, and we can't freaking forget about it, man.
I'm getting less and less concerned, and here's why. For as bad as everything is in professional sports with keeping secrets, we've heard nothing from the NFL. Nothing. And here's my problem. How does the NFL take a strong stance when all charges are dropped or dismissed?
I'm trying to figure that out. Again, I don't know all the legalities of it. I'm just trying to find out if there's a resolution. Make a decision and move on. Because this is the league at this point. This isn't the courts. Right. This is the freaking league.
It's the league. And I think the league is treading lightly because of the previous lawsuits we've had.
Yes.
If there is no legal ramification, how can you come in and take away someone's income and money when there is no legal precedent that they did? If charges had been filed and it was plead, it's different. This is straight up, the charges are gone. This case doesn't exist in the court system anymore. Right. He is not going to face any legal challenges. So at this point, I'm not sold the suspension doesn't happen, but I'm getting to the point I'm willing to gamble it doesn't.
So
I'll take the loss if it does.
Here's why I asked this, because a lot of this show, Rich, I don't know how much of the earlier part you caught. A lot of this show has been, if you don't want to trade, I'll just tell you this. I don't know if you caught it earlier. I have a team where it's a 10-teamer, but it's heavy benches, 9 bench spots.
Ooh.
And keeper as well. So, hard to find guys on the wire. I lost Burrow, James Conner, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, and for all intents and purposes, Mac Jones too. Who would have known? He played the game hurt, whatever. Who would have known for the future with 49ers? Purdy back, Purdy not, we don't know. But whatever, I lost 4 guys right there, all for the entire season. 10-teamer, 9 bench spots. So I've been talking about just looking for those guys that are going to get volume, even if we're not seeing the points there. And then we had someone who very smartly asked me about this, intelligently asked me, can I drop Dylan Sampson? And yeah, we're seeing Ford and all that, and I get that with Judkins, but I want to say yes for another running back that might be there, but just to drop him with the running backs that are hurt, the Lubin suspension, it's hard for me to just say without even thinking about it, yeah, just drop his ass.
I can't drop Sampson yet, and here's why. I maintain that this backfield is still going to be how I said it was going to shake out. And Vince, you heard me say it a few weeks ago. It's going to be Jenkins' backfield with Sampson being used in passing down work, but that's not going to happen until Sampson proves he can hold his own in pass protection.
Right.
He clearly hasn't shown that yet. But mark my words, we are going to see Ford's snaps numbers start to come down and Sampson start to go up, and Judkins is going to hold his own. Judkins is going to be the early down back. I don't believe they want him as a true third down back. They didn't use Chubb as a true third down back, so I struggle to see them using Judkins that way. That said, we know Sampson is not good in pass protection. This has been a concern from the time he was drafted. So I won't be shocked if Sampson's not a thing till week 6 or 8. But he is still the likely handcuff if something happens to Judkins. And they're clearly leaning on him. I mean, he's looked pretty decent. I can't deny that. For a guy that's been with the team for like 2 weeks practicing, got to give the guy props. And even though Ford played almost as many snaps, he basically was non-existent. So, again, I think the only reason Ford's out there is they trust him in passing down situations. That's ultimately what it comes down to. It could be as simple as 1 week that switch gets flipped. If people want to, and look, I'm a guy that's going to die by the sword. I'm not dropping Caleb Johnston yet.
Right.
I know a lot of people are, and I am not going to argue with anybody that wants to. My stance on that is the Steelers don't have what Caleb Johnston is supposed to offer. They don't. His head is up his ass, and he hasn't figured things out yet. But when he, or if and when he does, he'll get an opportunity. But Gainwell and Warren are not a between the tackle runners, are not guys that you're going to be able to lean on for 15 to 20 touches every week, have them hold up. And I don't know if you saw the play where Warren just like jumped into the defender running the ball right up the center. Like, you can tell he's out of his comfort zone doing that stuff. Getting him in space, he's dangerous. That's not what Caleb does well, and Gainwell does well in space. They don't have anything else. So I maintain that this Steelers offense needs to get balanced and wants to be balanced. Caleb is going to have a role, so I'm not dropping him. But I get people who want to.
Yeah, no, trust me, I have Jaden Blue.
Same difference.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but I'm not doing it, especially with how much of a mess the Cowboys are.
Nope.
And look,
can't do it.
And we've seen it with Javonte. Things could falter with Javonte, and then you're really going to rely on Miles Sanders? No. So there is a way. We just got to be patient right there to do so. We're going to answer some of your questions here. Rich, let's talk a couple of more when it comes to streamers. You do our streamers article at fantasyguru.com. It's up there. It got posted a little bit earlier. Who is your favorite QB streamer for the week? Can I give you a name? Can I give you a name?
Yes.
Geno Smith, 1 week rental.
Pass.
Wow. Okay.
I don't trust the Raiders' offensive line.
Okay.
And you know, he's going to have these weeks. Will it shock me if it's an every other week thing? But, I mean, okay, he had 3 touchdowns last week. He had 3 interceptions the week before. I understand it's a decent matchup. Anybody playing, who am I? I'm blanking.
Chicago.
That's the other thing. I don't think it's a great matchup. I think Chicago's defense is better than people give it credit for. If Geno was playing Cincinnati, sure. Sign me up.
Interesting. See, I'm a little bit more in. I've got one right now that's going to go. Again, thinking that even against a defense that shuts them down a bit, it's kind of like I almost think of it like the Jameis rules, where, okay, as long as he's throwing and throwing and throwing, maybe even a touchdown or 2, even if he throws 3 picks, for the most part, it balances it out. But no, that's why I specifically said 1 week rental.
I'd rather have Sam Darnold this week and Jaxson Dart this week.
Okay. That's where you're going.
And whoever's playing Cincinnati.
Right. I mean, that's always, you got to be chasing Cincinnati at this point. So
I think so. I'm being legitimate. I mean Dolphins too. I would argue the Dolphins.
You know what's interesting? I mean, how much is Bo Nix gonna really need to do? I mean, when you're thinking about it, Bo Nix not gonna need to do too much against Cincinnati.
No.
So
no, and he's highly rostered, so I doubt you can grab him. But
What about defenses to stream? Who are some of your favorites?
I had a bunch in there this week. I like Chicago. They're one of my favorites. That's the other reason I don't want Geno. It's hard to be in on the Chicago defense and then say I want to stream Geno, right? I mean, it's kind of an oxymoron. I really like
it. Worked for me with Washington last week. I was kind of in on the parts of the Raiders offense, but I had a team where I was starting Washington.
I'm trying to remember who I got listed, Fensty. I forgot to pull that up before I got in the car.
Luckily, Rich, I'm here, so I got there. It's a couple of the ones that you were saying that you were liking here. Beyond, so I mean, let's look at some of those defenses that you could look to pick up. You have some of your favorites include Chicago, yes, of course, Houston, and also another one there that you have that right now is in my DFS lineup, but I'm a little worried about ownership from a DFS standpoint.
Okay.
The Chargers, because I feel like everyone's going to be on, it's Dart's first start. Their Chargers are going to be all over him.
So there is something to be said about always attacking rookies, right? That is always something I suggest when we look at defenses. But the Chargers defense as a whole, I think has looked good. They are swarming to the ball. They are hitting with power. That defense is something to watch year long. Their scoring isn't quite there yet, but I will not be shocked if they end up being top 5, top 10, top 7, something like that. I really like this Chargers defense as a whole. I think they're going to give Dart nightmares from the start. This is kind of throwing Dart to the wolves, but we'll see what he's got.
Yeah.
The other one you mentioned, Chicago, Chargers.
Houston.
Here's the thing on Houston. Houston's defense has been good. They have given just about everybody a nightmare, and Houston is playing somebody I didn't like. Who?
Tennessee.
Oh, and another rookie quarterback. Give me Houston over rookie Cam Ward, who has been very off target. Yes.
And with that, let's answer a couple of questions before we head on out for today. How this one should be pretty simple and straightforward. 14-team Superflex. Hurts, he has Jones, and he has Dart. Would you try and trade Dart? No. You keep your third quarterback in a Superflex. 14-teamer, dude, keep your depth.
No. I'm holding all three of those quarterbacks like a baby holds candy.
There you go there. 14-team PPR, Chris Rodriguez. This is from Bill. Chris Rodriguez, best running back, he's saying on waivers, Pat Bryant, Jalen Wright, Roschon Johnson, or Caleb Johnson. Who's the drop right there to you?
I'm good dropping Bryant, Wright, or Roschon.
Right. I probably would go at this point, probably dropping Bryant at this point here. That's probably the first one I think about.
The only reason you wouldn't necessarily be my first is if you're lacking other wide receiver depth and there's no other wide receivers, and you've got basically a group of a bunch of running backs that are the same.
Right. So with that, Rich, right there, what do you got coming up on the site, fantasyguru.com?
So I probably won't be on the pod, but we'll have the Race Guru Thunder Hour coming up later this week. We've got my overview article be up tomorrow. We've got the Start Sit article that'll be up there. I've been trying to be in Discord. I beg people, please use the appropriate channels. Please scan our articles if you're going to ask us questions. Like, I have taken numerous questions about selling neighbors, and I want to choke people because he's literally listed as a buy low in my article. So why are you asking me about selling neighbors when I seriously put on the website I want to buy low on neighbors? Like, I'm sorry, that is quite frustrating. And I know I've said a couple of people in Discord, saying it's in the article. Well, I don't ask any questions. Anyone listening, feel free to chime in and educate me. I don't know what you guys want. Should I regurgitate what I've already typed up and put on the website and retype it, which quite frankly irritates me and annoys me? Or do you just want me to pick names out of thin air? Like, I just want to know what the expectation is.
I'll tell you what it is. I really do think that this works. And I used to think it was I'll admit it, I used to think it was a little bit of a jerky kind of response. A stout, don't ask me this question, jerky response, but it makes sense. Ray just puts the link to the article there.
Well, and I did that for a while.
And here's why I like that. I used to kind of think, and I've never told Ray this, I used to kind of think that was a little bit, a little negative, a little jerky, a little like, talk to the hand kind of thing. But then I thought about it a little bit more, after, and him putting that link there, the next person that wants to ask you that question,
it's there.
It's now the link's right there.
The funny thing is, Finsty, feel free to go check. I will have it posted 3 times and literally the next question. The next question. And part of the reason I've gotten so snippy, because the response I hear a lot is, well, I was busy. I didn't have time.
Right.
I apologize, Finsty, and you can edit this or.
No, I can't edit it. Wait, I can't edit it. So, yes.
All right. I will try to be polite here. I find it incredibly rude and disrespectful when you say I don't have time to read it and you expect me to then take time to answer something that I've already put hours in that's out there. Like that to me is one of the most disrespectful and the quickest way for me to kind of be like, I don't even want to help you at all anymore, because I find you being absolutely disrespectful of my time and effort when there's no need to. When the articles are 3 to 5 minute reads and nobody is even using the search button on Discord to look for a player's name to see if Fannon's been talked about for 30 minutes already, or if Neighbors has been talked about. There's a search tool on the website, from what I understand, when you do it from the computer. All you have to do is buy, sell, type a name. You can go to us if you really want to see if you have. This is what I used to do. I had favorites. So I went to their specific content, even though I'm not maybe doing something specific to that article they write about. Their article gives me insight to their logic and thinking of why they're doing what they're doing. That was worthwhile to me. So I read those particular content providers' information. I don't think it's fair to us or any of the other members when you're expecting us to regurgitate and give you cliff notes because you didn't have time while you're on the crapper to read a 3-minute article.
And look, we don't know who works what hours here. You're talking to 2 guys that don't not work 9 to 5 in the sports industry. So we don't know who works what hours. But like Rich is saying, if you get yourself in a routine where you know when Rich's streamers articles are coming out right there, and you know where it is, you know when it's coming out, just to even look at it for about 5-6 minutes and then look at your roster. And then you can ask the question afterwards too, because I don't believe in stupid questions. But here's the interesting thing. The articles are there for that reason. The explanations are brief. It's very big. We know a lot of people don't want to read, but you learn a lot more from reading. And yes, and I get what Hal's saying. People want reassurance and everything. There's nothing more reassuring than when we write something in an article and you see it there planted in an article.
Let me plant this seed for everybody. On average, we get 600 to 800 tags a week at taking 1 minute per response, which trade questions are 3, 5, 6, 8, 10-minute responses. On average, mine are about 2 to 3 minutes, but say it's 1 minute. That is over 12 hours of answering stuff in Discord a week. I can't. I have a day job plus the hours I'm putting into the articles and the streams and stuff. There is just not 12 hours a week. And when I've asked people feel like 3, 4, 5 hours a week in Discord from us is fair. Well, I hate to break it to y'all. That means at most 100 questions. 100 questions at 2 to 3 minutes of response is right around that 3-4 hour mark. And that's not including the hour before kickoff on Thursday and Sunday. So I get that people want assurances, but we can't. This is going to sound so bad. We can't be babysitters.
No, and again, the bottom line is that's what the articles are there for. Take a few minutes to read the articles, and you'll understand a little bit more, and you'll be able to answer your own questions sometimes too. But we're here to answer your question. That's what Discord's for. We understand it's a paid service, Discord, and all of that. But if we can kind of cut off the middleman a little bit, and just so you can get your answer, then you could go right to the source then. And then if you have a question and you're unsure and it's not written in the article, then right there, you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping others out there too who probably have the similar question. At Fantasy Bosco, don't follow him there, but follow all his work and read his work at fantasyguru.com. I'm at Fensty Sports, FENSTY Sports on X and Instagram. Make sure you catch me and Russell Clay every single Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern for Elite Sports Game Time. Jeff Mans, 2 p.m. Eastern, Elite Sports on Fantasy Sports Radio all week long. Ray Flowers joins him today. Rich, thank you so much, man, as always, for hopping on.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, for Rich Maletto, I'm Justin Fensterman. Tomorrow, Ray Flowers back in action here, same time, same place, same channel, noon Eastern, Fantasy Sports Daily on the Elite Plus Network, powered by Fantasy Guru.